All right. That was really good. So I was thinking we should talk about postseason success.
Okay.
Yeah, so get the broken arm off of there.
I know. Let me figuring which. So what are you thinking about? As far as...
Well, I mean, let's. How about this? Mistakes people make in the postseason. Mistakes we've seen other coaches make in the postseason.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Hello again, it's Bill and Dave. We're back, and we're going to talk about postseason success because the postseason brings a new level of pressure with it because it's single elimination, one and done. It's a different feeling. If you don't win today, there's no match tomorrow.
That's right.
And there are some things that coaches do that sabotage their team's success. And it actually starts with too much pressure. So, as you're going into the postseason, I think it's really important to stick with certain cliches. And one of the best cliches of all time is play it one at a time, right? 1 point at a time, one game at a time, one set at a time. You can't get ahead of yourself. That first round opponent, you have to beat them, right? That second round opponent, you have to beat them. So there's no looking forward. In fact, one time, my number 9 seeded team beat 8 for the right to play 1. And when we got there, that team was not warming up very well. And I overheard parents saying, "Hey, what are the travel arrangements to the next round?" And the dad of one of the other kids who knew me came to me and said, "Congratulations, Bill. You guys have had a great season." And I said, "That's wonderful, Ron, but in the present tense, this match is about to begin. So we are still playing." And he went, well, because he knew he had created locker room talk at that point. So anyway, so now I go to my team before the match and I said, "Oh, hey, they're warming up like they're going to beat you easy. The moms are already making arrangements for the next round on how to drive there. And so-and-so's dad just said our season's over. What do you say?" and we had 4 kids play out of their minds. I had 2 freshmen that beat 2 seniors at doubles. And I had a player just go to a completely new level. And I had a doubles player who was tight. And the other guy, who's usually the lesser player, played the match of his life. And we pulled the upset on that team. So don't take a team like mine lightly, because we're coming for you. So yeah, take them one at a time and give them the same effort that you give every other match. See, I think that's another thing. Wait, let me finish this one. I'll hand off.
Yeah.
You see, sometimes people go the other way. They think, okay, the preparation that we had on the regular season, that was that. But now we have to play like Rafa. We have to play like Djokovic or Federer. But no, you don't really have to. You just have to play the best that you can. Here's one little secret sauce tip. In the pregame, I will talk to my team and say, "Look, somebody here might play the best match of their life. It could happen. And if it's you, keep going with it. If you are not playing the best match of your life, just remember what our regular process goals are and go with that. Just compete as well as you can. And winning or losing will take care of itself."
Well, and the fact of the matter is, when you're a dominant team, like you said, I've seen all the years I had one of the top teams in the country in California. And a couple of those years, we were not as strong as I felt we had been in the past. And teams would come after us and feel like they had to hit winner after winner after winner because they had no chance. And my kids were not playing great tennis on those days. A couple of those matches, I can remember going, gosh, we're framing balls. We're just not moving. And if the other team had just kept 2 or 3 balls in play, the pressure would have mounted on us. But we'd serve the ball and they'd hit it in the back fence. And we're like, well, that was easy. And we were not playing good tennis. So that's one thing. The other thing is to, like you said, Bill, remind your players of the present. Present tennis is about being only involved and concerned. Really, the key word is concerned with the point you are in. And very more specifically, the shot you're hitting now, which would normally be the serve or the return of serve, depending on whether you're serving or returning. So that is one of the things I see a lot of coaches fail miserably because they build up their players to expect that you've got to play not just out of your head, but out of, a level you're not even capable of. And when a lot of times a player just doesn't need to do that against a better team sometimes because the pressure's on the other team, the more competitive team who's won everything. And that's how we started beating Park City, a team that was feared by all the other teams. We did not fear them. And we just kept chiseling away at their armor, so to speak, to the point where we became the dominant team for the next 2.5, 3 years. So
yeah, and I want to dig into that word pressure that you just used because we as adults sometimes underestimate how much pressure the kids already feel.
Yeah.
And pressure is an internal choice. You can choose to feel pressure or you can choose not to. You can let your mind dwell on if I win this, we win that, and if I don't, then we lose. Or you can let your mind go onto the process orientation of what do you actually do to win a match. Right. So I see my primary role to let the kids know, I want you to have fun. I want you to play for yourself, for your own enjoyment. And then the results will speak for themselves. So, let's go back to the 4 goals I say, give 100% effort, enjoy the competition, show yourself strong and wise, and learn from every match. So, of course you need 100% effort because if one's giving 100 and the other one gives 95, then there's a huge edge for the one giving 100. Right. Sometimes kids who feel too much pressure get tight and then they end up giving less effort just because they're bound up, they can't move. And then enjoying the competition means, hey, you know what, look, we're going to have fun with this no matter what it is. And then show yourself strong and wise. That whole thing is about, you're having your poise and being wise and not letting the other player, make multiple bad calls on you without getting a lines person and, make sure you're calling the score, all of these things. Right. And then, ultimately, even if we win the championship or we don't, our season is going to be measured by what did we learn?
Right. And staying within your process of what you've worked on in practice to give them the authority to execute the shots that they are, they're capable of, that they've worked hard to do, trusting that and getting them out of the process orientation during the match. We see that big negative of coaches telling players, you've got to do this with your backswing and your footwork.
Wait a second. I think you meant outcome orientation.
Right. Outcome orientation rather than process. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. Take it from, say something about outcome orientation and then take it from there.
A lot of coaches actually go into a match and they try to micromanage their players by telling them all the little things within the process of hitting a ball instead of, and they're focused on the outcome, as you mentioned, Bill, that if you move them too far forward on the outcome, they lose the present moment, or in the past, they're thinking about the shot they missed. And now you're talking to them in too much of you're doing this with your grip, you're doing this with your footwork, you're not hitting this shot, you're not doing this with it. Now you're taking them out of the moment and giving them too much overemphasis of information. Paralysis by analysis. And so you've got to really talk to your players in such a way that they believe that they're going to execute their shot, their stroke I always tell my players, picture the shot in your head, because that's an all-encompassing, where do I aim? That's it. What's the shape of the shot? That's it. Everything else will automatically happen when you've given them authority to aim. And so you got to get them out of the technical stuff when they're in the heat of battle.
Yes. I have one final thing before we sign off here is I don't believe in pep talks. We have our pregame talk and it's always the same. It's the exact same thing. Hey, doubles players, cut balls off going across the middle, serve down the tee most of the time. Encourage your net person if you're the server, right? Singles players, get your first serve in and build your point cross court. I mean, it's always the same thing. And then we get into, and then we say our thing, right? Today, confidence is our biggest weapon, blah, 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 right? Only one time have I ever given a pep talk or felt like my team needed it. And it was successful, but I delivered it very dry, low key. I told them a story about a kid who kept getting fights in school, and because everybody wanted to fight him. So I told him that he should learn to fight so well that no one will ever want to fight him again. And he actually ended up knocking out 2 kids in the same day because they stepped up to fight him. So I told these players this right before we were going to start playing the number 2 seed, because if we beat the number 2 seed, we were going to play the number 1 seed. So I was like, let me tell you a story about a kid who knocked out 2 other kids. And so that became an allegory for what we were going to have to do that day. We're going to have to knock them out. I mean, and so I'm sorry if maybe this offends your sensibilities, but maybe you've never taught in the inner city and you don't understand how rough it can be. But
well, my dad's favorite phrase when he was one of the top coaches in the country was, it's not the size of the kid in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the kid. And I've had numerous players, tiny little players, who literally would, this is a good picture of this little girl right here in the middle on the right side, didn't weigh 73 pounds and 4-year or 3-time state champion, just an amazing little girl. She had fight. And that's sometimes the David and Goliath analogy is very applicable.
Awesome. Yep. I had a few of those too. All right. That's a wrap.